to do a video about my favorite book ever that I ever read, ever. I read it first when I was 13, and little did I know that it would sort of apply to my life now. So please pardon the timeline of this video because I keep thinking of things I should have said. So if this video is chopped up and just I don't have a continuity department here, so, and I have to apologize for my hair. It's dry and I need to trim it and color it, but that's neither here nor there. Like with all this talk about these chips that we're gonna have, apparently these ID chips eventually across the world, we're all gonna have this identification system. A lot of people will call it the mark of the beast. And I have my own opinions on that. Regardless, I don't think it's a good thing. But it reminds me of my favorite book called This Perfect Day. Oddly enough, the author is Ira Levin, who also wrote Rosemary's Baby and Stepford Wives, Boys from Brazil. I could go on and on. He authored a ton of novels and screenplays alike. Sliver. Anyway, This Perfect Day was probably his least acclaimed novel, but my mom suggested I read it. And so I read it when I was 13, and it blew my mind. It blew my mind. And a lot of people can compare it to like Brave New World type stuff. I would say it's a utopian society, or at least these people believe they're in a utopian society. But when I've read reviews of it, people will call it a dystopian society. But the truth is, these people are all happy. They're all happy for the most part. They're happy. But our main character, Chip, or Lee, RM, whatever, because there's 4 names for boys and there's 4 names for girls, and then they all followed by like a couple letters and some numbers, and then they wear these bracelets that are called their unification bracelets, and they have to scan these bracelets wherever they go. So if they enter any building, they have to scan the bracelet, and they get a green light or a red light telling them yes or no, you can enter or you can't. If they want to purchase a tablet to draw on, they'll get a yes or no. They'll get a green or a red when they scan it to whether or not they can buy it. Their jobs are determined by their bracelets. Everything is determined for them by the big computer, this sort of mass AI thing, basically, a hive mind computer called Uni. And so Uni decides everything for everybody. And so they have Unification Day where they all take off their bracelets for like a minute or two, and then they put it back on. It's like their major holiday. They still celebrate Christmas because they actually honor Christ in this book. The poem goes, and I have it pulled up, but I actually do have the first 2 verses memorized. Christ marks wood and way, led us to this perfect day. Marks, wood, way, and Christ, all but way, were sacrificed. And now I'm going to have to look at the rest of it. Wood, way, Christ, and Marks gave us lovely schools and parks. Way, Christ, Marks, and wood made us humble, made us good. And this is the nursery rhyme, or the things that the kids say when they're growing up. This is their poem that they all know, sort of like we grew up with, whatever, the 3 Bears or something. So Uni is like this computer savior. Uni knows what's best. Uni replaces God, basically. It replaces wisdom, replaces knowledge. And if Uni says so, then it is so. Well, basically, our main character, Lee, RM, whatever, we call him Chip. We know him as Chip. I should also point out the reason that our main character is called Chip. His grandfather, and if you read the book, I'm not giving any spoilers away. You'll learn this very quickly. His grandfather is one of the people who helped to build Uni, the giant computer that runs the world. And his grandfather kind of always tells Lee, RM, or Chip, kind of always tells him he hints to Chip that maybe it's not a good thing that he helped create this, but maybe Uni isn't so great as everybody sees Uni as this all-powerful, all-knowing, computer that keeps everybody happy and at peace. In fact, Peace is one of the female names. I think there's Mary, Peace. I don't remember the other names offhand. I know the boys' names are Lee, Jesus. I don't know why I can't think of the other names, but there's only 4 names for girls and 4 names for boys. But the reason that Lee gets the name Chip is his grandfather calls him a chip off the old block. He says, "You're a chip off the old block." And Chip always kind of felt a little out of place and always felt a little uncomfortable when his grandfather would say negative things about Uni, because he was so indoctrinated to believe that Uni was the savior of the world, that without Uni, the world would be in pure destruction. He wakes up. So Lee is sort of a truther, so to speak, I guess. And he finds a group of people that are like him. They're awake. And they teach him ways to kind of continue to wake up, because he is under basically mind control, and he's being given treatments, physical, actual medicinal treatments, like every week or so, or if they need additional treatments, if they've been acting out. Words like hate and fight are bad words, but words like hell and fuck are fine. They use those on a daily basis. It's crazy. I would love it if people would read this book now. The problem is, the book is in print again, but the cover, oh my God, please do not judge the book by its current cover. The current cover has this man, it's like the back of a man, and you see his butt. I don't know, it doesn't make any sense at all. The cover that I have, the only reason I have the book is I reported it lost to the library back in the 90s because I couldn't find it for sale anywhere and it was out of print. So I just paid for the book, said it was lost. I still have that copy. And that cover has a face with one green eye and one brown eye, and that's our character. That's our main character, Lee RM, or Chip. He had one eye that was green and his other eye was brown, and everybody looks the same, by the way. They're all supposed to have brown eyes, but he has this genetic mutation which makes him different, which makes him stand out, and nobody's supposed to stand out. So it kind of lets you know that he already feels different, and because he feels different, I think that's why he was able to wake up. But he woke up, and so of course eventually his goal is to take down the system. Compare it really quickly to today, to how I feel about things today, and I don't know if we could take down the system, because I think they're trying to lead us into this quote-unquote utopian society that's actually going to be a dystopian society, and we're going to be led by probably some kind of big AI computer thing. I don't know. And we're all going to think we're happy. But will we really be happy? Because I feel like Lee. I feel like Chip. And, I want to take down the system. But as the story unfolds, and as Chip wakes up and meets the other woke people, you'll find that each of these people also has like a genetic thing that makes them different. Like Lee has his one discolored eye. There's one of the characters who takes on the name Snowflake, obviously not her given name, but she takes on that name because she's pale. And everybody like I said, everybody looks the same. So they're all tan skin, they're all dark haired, and they're all brown eyed. So the way that I see it is it's kind of like if you blended everybody that we have on the face of the earth right now, you would basically get a bunch of tan skinned, brown haired, brown eyed people. And so everybody pretty much looks the same. And so Snowflake had pale skin, so she took on the name Snowflake. And then there are other characters. They all have their own little things that make them just a little bit different, just enough to stand out. And perhaps that's why these people were able to wake up, because they always felt like they were a little bit out of place. So of course I can't compare that to our current worlds, because our current world is all about embracing diversity, which I do embrace diversity. I follow a lot of channels that are anti-LGBT. A lot of their messages I agree with, but I don't agree with the anti-LGBTQ stuff. I get it that it's in our faces a lot. I get it that they're trying to normalize things that maybe shouldn't be quote unquote normalized, but I do believe that if somebody feels a certain way about who they are, sexual preference or otherwise, that we should not chastise these people. I do agree with a lot of these channels, though, that we shouldn't be telling 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds that if they're female, that if they don't feel female, that they should, like, I don't think we should be giving kids hormones or changing their biology. I think that that's an adult decision that needs to be made. And yes, there are gay kids and there are kids that may identify as other genders as they're growing up, but I think that's something that we can't make decisions for them. And if they feel a certain way and they still feel that way at 18, I mean, it's a tough thing for me to go on. And I don't mean to go off on this tangent, but I really do want to state that I don't have a hatred towards anybody's feelings. And if they're gay, they're gay. And if they feel like a female but they're male, or maybe I'm misusing that, because I don't understand all the pronoun stuff. And I do think that the pronoun being hate speech stuff is a little extreme, like what they're doing in Canada is extreme. So there's a lot of gray area here that I don't agree with. But as far as the black and the white of it all, yeah, I feel like you should be who you want to be. But let's remove that. That's sort of a side tangent I didn't mean to go on. But I'm just saying the differences between today and this book that I'm talking about, which reminds me of today. The main difference is that in today we embrace diversity, and this book diversity is just not even a thing. The problem is if you do read this book, again, it's called This Perfect Day, and it's by Ira Levin. If you read this book, there are some things that our main character does that are terrible. But you have to understand that he was born into a society that did not understand negative human emotions like anger or lust. And so when he's waking up and he's stopping his treatments, he experiences very animalistic desires and urges that he doesn't understand, and he acts on them occasionally. So I'm just warning you. But we can't, my argument for this is that you can't look at him like you would look at somebody in today's society who would know right from wrong. They weren't taught right from wrong. They were basically say, if you feel a certain way, you're sick, you be treated, then you be okay. They weren't given a chance to understand moral implications. So he does do some things that are questionable, and you want to hate him sometimes, but he is ultimately the hero of the book. That's all I'm going to tell you. I really just want people to read This Perfect Day. I think it's uncanny the similarities of this book and what's actually occurring in the world today. And like I said, I'm amazed that I first read this book at 13 at my mom's suggestion, and that now I'm 40 and it took me until today to realize that, oh my God, that book was about as prophetic as you can get. When was it originally released? Let's see. This Perfect Day. Publication date 1970. So this dude knew in 1970 that basically a giant computer, or what we would now consider a network of computers and a hive mind of artificial intelligence, could someday more or less rule the world. But as with any computers, they always have to have programmers. So it's usually what the programmers want that happens. Now with AI, we could say that it could take on a life of its own. And, there's a lot of implications there. I'm not going to go into all that. But definitely prophetic. Rest in peace, Ira Levin. Good job on predicting the future. If you're a truther, you should read This Perfect Day. If you're not a truther, you should read This Perfect Day. Everybody should read This Perfect Day. And yes, you can compare it to 1984. Don't compare it to 1984. That's a totally different type of society. Similar in structure, but different in how it's presented, because this is presented as a utopia, not a dystopia, even though some reviews call it a dystopia. It depends on if you're awake or not. If you're awake, it is dystopia. If you're asleep, like most of the people, it's totally utopia. You're totally happy. Well, Brave New World was going to try to say that was what I was going to compare it to, and there was another one that I can't think of now. But This Perfect Day is my favorite book of all time. And I had no idea when I was 13 that it was going to affect me at age 40. And that I was going to feel a lot like Chip. So, interesting. It's interesting that I'm just now kind of putting this together. Like, oh, wow. Who knew? Huh. Thanks, Mom. Love you. Miss you. And to y'all, I love y'all too. Talk to you later. Bye-bye. Thanks for checking out my video. I'm Jennifer, aka JenSpen, and I'm all about the truth. First and foremost, thank you to all my subs, new and old. I'm working hard to keep coming out with new content and interesting things to check out, so don't be afraid to subscribe and ring my bell. Also, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you don't like it, give it a thumbs down. It helps me gauge how you guys are feeling. And don't be afraid to comment, because together maybe we can stir up some truth and hopefully wake up some more people. Please, please, please wake up, people.